Let go of the negative thoughts, hang on to the positive thoughts. Simple, right? Not so easy. Not so easy. Why do you think it's not easy to let go of those negative thoughts that come into our head? Because we've been thinking the way we've been thinking our whole life. We've developed thought systems. Again, it's our way of seeing the world. We see them through our own filters, our thought systems. And that's where stress is, anxiety, pressure. I got to do this, she has to do that. I have all these have tos and the must tos and the ought tos are part of those thought systems. And that's where the stress comes from. But everything in our thought systems is not bad. We have our values, our loyalty, our honesty, our integrity. A lot of good things are in there too. So we've got to be able to differentiate which thought systems are benefiting me and which are really not benefiting me. So the thought systems are there. We all have our own thought systems. They're not going away. But there's hope. Because we also have, just like we have our thought systems over here, we've got our natural state of mind. And our natural state of mind is where peace, tranquility, solutions to problems, our genius lies. And we all have both. Now the big question is, how do I get over here to my natural state of mind when I'm in the throes of these negative bombardment that I'm receiving from myself? How do we do that? How do we get over here where it's all good and I can relax and feel peace and solutions? Number one, you got to want to be here. You got to want to have peace in your life. You've got to want to have tranquility, solutions to problems. So many of us, but a lot of people wear their stress like a badge. If you lived where I live, if you had the commute that I had, if you had the family background that I had, how do you expect things to be good for me? That's all we talk about is how bad things are. And guess what? That's my life. Because that's my dominant thought. That's what I'm thinking about all the time. So number one, you got to want to be over here. You got to want to have a stress-free, relaxed, joyful life. Intention is number one. And number two, you got to know what it feels like to be over here. You've got to experience this natural state of mind. And that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to sit quietly, and everybody can do this, but we're going to do it here for a minute. We're going to sit quietly, and you can leave your eyes open or you can close them, and we're going to breathe. And all we're going to do is focus on our breathing, the physical aspect of inhaling and exhaling. And what's going to happen? A thought is going to pop into your head. And the exercise says, notice it as a thought and let it go. And come back to your breathing. Let's do that for a minute. Did anybody notice anything physically happening as we were doing this little exercise? I always notice my shoulders start to slump a little bit. I don't even realize that I've got this tension in my upper spine. But my shoulders start to slump as I start to relax. What do we call this activity that we just did? Meditation. In its simplest form, meditation is just what we did, emptying your mind. You heard Deepak Chopra, the Indian physician and spiritual teacher? He says, what are we, human doings or human beings? Sometimes it can be very productive just to be. In our busy world, multitasking is the word of the day for a lot of us. But sometimes doing nothing can be the most productive part of our day. That's when we start to get to know ourselves intimately, compassionately. And this particular exercise is to understand that we are not our thoughts. I am not my thoughts. Thoughts are just thoughts. And this exercise allows me to separate myself from my thoughts and gives me the understanding and the skill, it's really a skill, to notice it and let it go. Notice it, let it go. We can evaluate the thought that comes. We can't stop the thoughts. The thoughts are going to come. But we do have power. We do have a choice over which ones we choose to hang on to. And that little exercise could be life-changing. And meditation does not have to be something oppressive. It could be a minute, like we just did. It could be 30 seconds. It could be, just taking a couple of deep breaths at some point during the day. You don't have to become a Buddhist monk where you lower your heartbeat to 36 beats a minute. No, it's just a quick exercise to recognize that you are not your thoughts. And how much does meditation cost? Nothing. Nothing. You need a special outfit though, right? No. All you need is the intention, a quiet place, and sometimes that's a challenge, to sit and meditate. And it's amazing what can happen. And some of us are going to be better at it than others. Some of us are more relaxed and easygoing by nature, and some of us are a little hyper. So sometimes for a hyper person, it's not so easy. We get distracted. We start thinking about 10 different things. But you get better at it as you do it. And if you commit to it, it can be a life changer. Just noticing you are not your thoughts. Huge idea. People ask me, Jim, I want to be happy, but how do I do it? How do I get started? And we've talked about a couple of things. Number one is intention. We got to want to be happy. We've got to understand that 40% of our happiness quotient is my call. It's my call. And we got to look inside ourselves and see, do I really want to be happy, or am I just, treading water, being stuck where I am? So you got to want to be happy. And number two, gratitude is the place to start. Gratitude is the place to start. How do you feel when you're grateful? Good. You feel good. How do you feel when you're taking something for granted? I never heard anybody say, yeah, I'm taking that for granted. Makes no sense. But what do? We take so many things for granted. Again, it comes back to that self-awareness. Where are we putting our focus? Where is our self-talk leading us? And by focusing on gratitude, all of a sudden, our life starts to get a little lighter, a little easier. Start tomorrow morning when you wake up and you throw your legs over the side of the bed and stand up. Pay attention. What's your thought? It could be, thank God I can get out of bed by myself. A little mundane activity that we take for granted could lift us up, get us feeling good right away. What's your thought as you walk down to the bathroom? Don't tell me. It could be, thank God I've got indoor plumbing. Because we do get stuck in our patterns of thought. But it's the intention that gets us out of that rut, that gets us uplifted a little bit into being grateful. So we need a trigger. And one of the triggers I use is getting out of bed. I say, thank God I can get out of bed by myself. I get in the shower. The hot water is a trigger for me to be grateful for the hot water. We had Superstorm Sandy down in Long Island a couple of years ago. We had no power for days. When the power came back on, you flip that switch, yay, hooray, we got light, we got power. But soon after that, we just kind of go back to the old ways of taking it for granted, taking it for granted. All of these little things that we could do to feel good, they're at our disposal. It's just a question of being mindful about it, mindful. So gratitude is the place to start. Just like Copernicus turned the whole world around when he said the sun is the center of the universe, everybody's attitude changed about physics. So now this is like a slow process for people to understand that happiness is the center of the universe that radiates success, not the other way around.